Welcome to Briefly Creative, a podcast that explores insights, stories, and frameworks for living a meaningful creative life. I'm your host, Greg Gunn. Routine is an interesting word. It can embody a skill that you've practiced and excel at, like a dancer taking confident steps and moving their body in a predetermined sequence, or like an orchestra flawlessly performing their well-rehearsed set in unison. A routine can be something that you've taken great care to learn, practice, and refine over time. It's something you command. But routines can also be described as mechanical, boring, and monotonous, depending on how you look at them. And there's a fine line between the two. I've had many a daily routine throughout my life and my professional career. What I do today could not be more different than what I did when I was 25. That being work 16 to 18 hours a day, sleep for 4 hours if I'm lucky, and then spend all weekend playing Call of Duty. And for the record, I probably wouldn't change a thing. For better or for worse, we tend to be creatures of habit. And some of us, including yours truly, often let our well-trained routines run most days. But what worked yesterday may not be working the same for us today, at least not in the way we think. Remember that whole growth mindset thing? Good example. A thoughtful routine should help your growth, not hinder your progress, which is why I reflect on and rethink mine from time to time. Call it a routine sanity check. When I think about it, I've always had some kind of side project going on. Something special to me that I can pour myself into and explore without any external forces redirecting me. I've made artwork, short films, courses, software, and digital products. I mean, you can add my newsletter and this podcast to that list. And to work on these side projects and keep momentum, I have to set aside time in my day, time outside of work and family. Now, when I was younger, that meant staying up into the wee hours of the night, toiling away until I couldn't keep my eyes open. And sure, I was a little tired the next day, but I always bounced back with the help of enough caffeine, until one day, I couldn't. At some point, not getting 8 hours of quality sleep would not only ruin my day, but limit my cognitive ability and really kind of put me in a foul mood, to be honest. Those not so glorious days of pulling all-nighters were now behind me. Not too long after that, I met my wife, who, by way of powerful magic, naturally rises at 6 a.m., which, unbeknownst to me, meant I too would now rise at 6 a.m. I was unable to maintain my night owl ways. And so I did the unthinkable. I took a break. For the first time in my professional life, I put my side projects on hold and just lived, like some kind of regular, healthy person or something. It felt weird at first, but it was all right. What I learned about me was that I was at my best during the first few hours of the day, between coffee number 1 and lunchtime. And during that time, my mind was on fire, and I felt as though I could accomplish just about anything. But as the day went on, that raw energy was used for a variety of things, mostly meetings and creative work, and administrative tasks, and so on. And by the time my day ended, I was running dangerously low on creative juice. I quickly realized that if I wanted to get anything important done, like a side project, I should probably do it early in the day. And that gave me an idea. What if instead of burning the midnight oil with what little creative fuel I had left, I woke up early and used all that lovely morning energy on a side project? It sounds crazy, I know. Now, I am not a morning person by nature or by any stretch of the imagination. Sometimes my wife will talk with me right when we wake up and I will have no recollection of it later that day. But I do my best. So whether you are a habit follower or not, take a moment to examine your day every once in a while. Reflect on it and reallocate your energy as needed. Maybe you're a wannabe morning person like me too. The changes that I made to my routine and my schedule, they weren't big. In fact, they were quite the opposite. But all those little changes, the ones that make you 2% happier, they add up to something big. Thanks for joining me today. You can find more info, show notes, and a transcript of this episode at brieflycreative.fm. And if you enjoyed what you heard, consider rating and reviewing the show on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to it. It would mean the world to me and really help the show out. Also, we have a weekly newsletter. You can read more about the episode and find fun, relevant links to things like tutorials, tools, and other useful creative adjacent stuff that I find. Thanks again for listening, and remember, what worked for someone else may not work the same way for you, but there's always something to learn from it. See you next time.